Welcome to the Unemployable podcast. Unemployable is about literally being unemployable, literally taking ownership of every opportunity in front of you, not looking to your broker or to your employer as the person in charge of your opportunity and all these other things that we like to blame others for. Today we're talking about goals. Thanks for joining, Aaron.
Thank you.
So something that came up recently, I was on a Zoom call with some agents in our community and the topic of goals came up and we started kind of talking about ways to set different goals. I asked them what their goals were and they all struggled to answer that. So I realized, okay, we've got a deficit here. I want to equip them with some tools to help. But when you got into real estate, how did you approach setting goals?
At first it was a monetary amount like everybody else, but then you realize, I think the things that you like about it and the things you want to dial in on, and then they kind of convert into more project-based stuff maybe.
Yeah, so a lot of people do that kind of typical start with 100K GCI.
Yeah, that's
and
classic.
Then how many homes does that take? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
14 homes or something.
Something like that.
And that's calculating your average commission, your average price, all that kind of stuff.
And how many conversations.
And then how many conversations, right?
That whole breakdown.
And then how many calls or knocks or pieces of mail leads to that many conversations. And then you're just focusing on that work of the calls or the knocks.
Yeah. That's really what you should focus on at that point.
Yeah.
It's pretty normal, actually.
And really what you should focus on at whatever point you're at is the actual work.
That's true.
Our business is so driven by YouTube. Therefore, the work for me most of the time is making the video.
Yeah.
It's not much more complicated than that for me on most weeks. Make the video because I think of it. So I had this house that flooded recently, and there you have to turn the water out by the street.
Yeah.
There's not a shut off on the house. You have to go do it with a water key at the street.
Yeah,
Super annoying. But all the contractors knew when you leave, you got to turn the water off. I think of the YouTube video like the water at the street level. If it's not on, nothing in the house is going to get water.
Yeah.
No matter what you do in the house or on the house, the YouTube video is that far out water faucet turned on that makes everything else run. And so that's kind of why I focus on just make the video. Just turn the water on.
Most of the other goals are dependent on that happening.
They are, yeah. But I wanted to talk about something a coach helped me with when I first got into real estate, to just be really emotional about goals. And my current coach talks about this too, be emotional about the goal and unemotional about the action.
Yeah.
Unemotional about the work. But we started to look at goals when I first got into real estate, and I joined this small local brokerage because they had a coach on staff. And working with Micah, he helped me just identify the things that I really wanted in life, the things even the feelings that I wanted to have.
Yeah.
Now, they're not judging a moment by whether or not you're having those feelings, but hey, my goal is to feel these things. And my goal is to feel calm and to be doing the work that I have chosen. Now, whether that's at a high level or low level, sometimes it is making the video. I've chosen to make videos.
Yeah.
But sometimes the work isn't enjoyable, but I've chosen the bigger thing. And I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
What do you think of goals like that?
I think it's very similar because when you start out, it's easy to get excited about putting in your first offer or doing your first showing. All that is exciting, but it's all going to fade.
Yeah.
We even talked about having 3 deals under contract at once was this on top of the world feeling.
Yeah.
And then now having 10 under, it doesn't feel necessarily the same. But that's not because it's not exciting. It's because that's just not necessarily a big goal of ours. Our goal is bigger than that, and beyond that, that's just a process thing. That
also, each of those deals takes a lot less work now than they used to, right?
They do, yeah, they do a lot less front end work. But if you're just basing yourself off of your own emotion and trying to use that to stay motivated instead of just dialing in a schedule and a process, then you don't last long. Because it all fades away.
Yeah.
And you got to keep making goals bigger and bigger and quantifying them is big.
Yeah, when I make big emotional goals, like I think of them like guiding stars.
Yeah.
Like I'll literally like imagine I'm at sea.
Mm-hmm.
I have no technology, and
Yeah.
I kind of picture the goal as like that guiding star
Yeah.
that I'm waiting to like catch glimpses of, be reminded of, and it's far out there. I'm not expecting to reach it, but I'm always heading toward it.
Mm-hmm.
And do you think of goals like that at all?
I do. Yeah. And I probably freak out a bit more. Like my main thing is I don't have enough time. So that kind of is the motivation.
If you had more time, what would you do?
I don't know. Because I want to reach the goals at a little quicker than maybe everyone else. But I don't know. I think part of it too is my big goal is to have more freedom when my kids are growing up and I'm later in life. And
Aaron doesn't have any kids yet.
No kids. And the process that I make for that goal is to work a lot now. And so that kind of the freak out then happens that, okay, getting older, time's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm getting closer or not, but then I also, when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, then I feel like I'm getting there. So it's you feel a lot better about yourself. But that could be a bad thing. It might not be a good thing for
I don't
people
know.
to
You
do.
don't have to jump in and judge it so fast. One of my big goals is this kind of daydream I have.
Yeah.
And I love using stuff like this as a tool. The daydream it's 7 years from now. I made this goal 3 years ago, so I keep going down.
Yeah.
7 years from now, my wife, my 3 kids, we probably have a fourth at that point. We're in Italy for the summer.
Nice.
We're living there for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Not like we're staying at a hotel. Like, no, we rented a house and we're staying in this little village. And
Yeah.
Helena's picking up a little bit of Italian, and
Yeah.
she signed up for a class to learn how to make this pasta. We're like here for a while.
Yeah.
I'm in this daydream. I'm still working a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm responding to messages and I'm engaging with our community and these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
But everything's working.
Yeah.
Now everything still needs work, but everything's working to where I can be in Italy for a few months.
That's a big goal.
It is, but that's what I mean by being emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is like the real dream?
That's true. Yeah.
So then I break that down because I know for that I need assets, I need cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So that dream caused me to get into real estate, specifically real estate investing.
Okay.
But the agent thing started working, the YouTube thing started working, and then you kind of just follow the opportunity in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
There's still opportunities to build that cash flow and those assets in what we're doing right now. So I know we need cash flow and assets. So then I break it down even smaller. Okay, if I had $30,000 a month in income from the YouTube transactions,
Mm-hmm.
then I could give 90% of my time to building the next thing.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. I don't even know if I need to get to that 30,000 mark,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the number that's been like stuck in my head.
Yeah. I think when you quantify them so small, it's a lot easier to make adjustments and to correct
Yeah.
to make sure that those things get done. Because a lot of people have big goals like that, but they don't break it down into like monthly, maybe like a monthly project to get there.
Yeah.
And then they just keep talking about their goal. Oh, yeah, someday I want to be, an astronaut or something. But they're not like breaking it down on what they have to do to get there. And so when you break it down to that level, that point, then you know the tasks you have to do to get to get it done.
Yeah.
But then you also know if maybe you're being unrealistic about that thing, and then you can challenge yourself, am I doing the most to get there, or am I being unrealistic? And you can kind of make those changes now rather than later. And as long as you keep on that track, you'll eventually hit that big goal.
Right. And I would even question myself, like, I could probably do that with $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
Spend 90% of my time building the next thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that means I could have started that a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
So then it's like, okay, now I need to really start building that next thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the hardest things about building the next thing which there's always the next thing in your business.
Yeah.
YouTube isn't going to be what it is for us forever.
Yeah.
So we're building other lead sources. We're doing all kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't want this. This isn't a distracted thing.
No.
The next thing isn't like shiny object syndrome. It's getting you to the goal.
No. Yeah.
It's hard to do the next thing when the first thing's comfortable.
Yeah, that's true.
My coach teases me at times. He's like, Sam, you make plenty of money, got a happy family, got a nice house, you got a cool truck.
Yeah.
You don't need to try anything. You don't need to push yourself. You don't need to work hard.
Did you really say that?
Oh yeah, he says that to me all the time.
Like sarcastically?
Yes.
Or yeah.
Just to like show like, hey, this is an option. Quitting is an option.
Yeah. It's an option a lot of people take.
It is. Yeah,
But-
just be comfortable. Be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
No, and that's a valid question. Like,
It is if that's the goal. If the goal is comfort, no,
Yeah.
the goal is Italy.
yeah, then it's different.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he says that. And then also when you're building the next thing, how do you maintain the first thing?
Yeah. That's a good question. So I think I still get involved in a lot, but a lot of it is systems and processes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we're like really excited about helping other agents build in our community.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really leading from the front. We're leading by example in this and building these out for ourselves, testing them, implementing them. That's one thing I like about bringing agents into our communities because we still drastically outproduce them right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can help you build it, but we're also busy closing deals. That's good. I want them to see that.
Yeah.
But it also like speaks to our expertise for sure.
Which for the new agent, that would be do your calls, clear out your tasks, whatever it is on your CRM, and then go and build out your project. But that's your once you figure out how to talk to a lead and close a deal, you can move on to the next project, but that's your first project really.
Yeah. So something else that came up on that call was lanes of focus and just kind of pillars of business. That's kind of where those things come in for me, like how those tasks apply to my calendar. Like I enjoy free space on my calendar.
Yeah.
Assigned free space to think about something. I'll put that on my calendar.
Just
Plan that project.
Yeah.
And I'll just stand up at my whiteboard right over there and I'll just think through something for a while. I'll draw it out a few different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you not get overwhelmed?
It's just chipping away at it.
Yeah.
I used to do this thing with my team when I worked at this big nonprofit where we'd get together and we were like on the cusp of building something really big for this organization. We were about to host these conferences around the world and implement this big thing. We had to finish building it. I needed them really sharp all the time, coming up with ideas. So we started doing this thing where every day we'd meet for 10 minutes. We'd all have a little note card and we'd all write down 10 ideas. We'd choose a problem that we're trying to solve. We'd all write down 10 ideas of how to solve it. And there was 8 of us in there, so there's 80 ideas all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Most of them are bad.
Yeah.
But it's chipping away at the problem, and it's also making us really good at coming up with ideas. So that then when we have a little bit more info, we have a little bit more context, something else is a new dynamic is introduced to the problem, we can come up with solutions really fast.
Yeah.
I've done that same activity in real estate a lot too.
It's a good activity. What's interesting, so we talked about kind of next project and kind of brainstorming to get there. So in real estate, it's probably where shiny object syndrome plays in, and then probably where my struggles are, is you like the event we went to yesterday. You've got a million ways to do stuff.
Right.
Everybody's throwing up a great idea, and you're sitting there like, okay, like which one do we build? Which one is important? Which one maybe isn't important? Okay, all of them are working. Like, same with those ideas. You might have 10 great ideas.
Yeah, so even within our like real estate business, we need multiple lead sources.
Yeah.
So we have YouTube, we have past clients, we have referral partners, whether that's our insurance guy or our lender or
Whatever it is.
friend of a friend.
Yeah, friend.
And then we're doing cold outbound
Mm-hmm.
for listings. It's hyper targeted cold outbound.
Yeah.
Whether that's a letter to 3 people or it's calls to 30 people, it's still fits in the same envelope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we need more than that though.
And that's, yeah. And definitely not now, right? Like definitely right now we've quantified the projects that we have for maybe the next year or two.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you can maybe add something
I
else on.
often say too, like when we come up with an idea, I'm like, that's next quarter.
Yeah.
Or that's quarter 4.
Or you
Quarter 4 is going to be slow.
Yeah. Sam always says I'm solving a problem that doesn't need to be solved, which is so
if
true.
the problem doesn't exist, like let's not spend a day trying to solve it.
I'm so bad at that. I always think about like, oh, what if like this happened and then, you know, we could solve it like this, but it's like, it's not a big deal right now. So why worry about it?
The more time you spend in the what if, the more time somebody else gets ahead.
Yeah.
That's actually where this whole conversation came up. Somebody, a competitor, a YouTube competitor in our market, posting about their production. 23.5 million sold or pending.
Yeah.
No context of the time frame, anything. He said, thank you to these 5 agents that helped me, blah, blah, blah. I felt so competitive. I felt so like pulled to like figure out, did I beat him? Did I not? Like, I want more context. I want to understand. Mostly to know if I beat him. If I didn't beat him, how do I beat him?
Yeah.
Those are my reactions. I saw this Instagram post as I was putting my son to bed the other night.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, like, my goal is not to beat him. Now, I'm okay with a little bit of competitive, like, fire being stoked by this. Great. I
Yeah.
love that. But my goal is not to outproduce every Tampa YouTuber. My goal is not to build a big team. My goal is not even to, like, be the best listing agent.
Yeah.
My goal is actually more to not think about the clients. Think about the client experience overall, but not be involved in the transaction at all.
Yeah.
But be able to like guide them through their next steps.
And that's probably the best way to beat him. If you were to be focused on beating him.
Yeah.
Because if you dial in on what you're doing, you might not be ahead of him today, but eventually, you know, you pull through in your own way.
Well, and I'm not playing his game.
Yeah, we're not
Like that's
talking
the thing.
about
It's
a
like,
number
I'm
amount.
not like we're not playing the same game because it's so focused around our specific goals.
Yeah.
Now, maybe they're the same. Who knows? It doesn't really matter. Maybe I'll see him in Italy in 7
Yeah.
years.
That'd be funny.
It would be really funny. But
Still making videos.
it kind of like stoked that in me of like, I don't know, you're not really my competition.
Well, you probably asked yourself, what is he doing that I'm not?
Yeah.
And then you go back to like this, like, okay, what did we miss there?
Yeah.
Like, what did we not add? If he is doing that much volume, like where did we go wrong?
Right.
Should we have done things differently? Or should we maybe pivot? Those are tough questions because you almost got to change your goals or your projects to maybe get there.
And I have no desire to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The goals and the projects, the lanes of focus, the pillars of the business, they exist for a reason. It's because that's what gets me to that emotional goal.
Yeah.
It's all of that unemotional work.
Mm-hmm.
Generating business here, adding agents to our community these other ways, which we'll share more about that in the future, and then equipping them to reach their goals.
Which I would say having a coach is you can't, like, that's a must have with this type of scenario.
Yeah.
Because they can reassure you that, no, you're not thinking of things wrong. Like, you are on the right track. Like, this makes sense.
Yeah.
This is the process you should be on. It's smart. It's intelligent. People have done it before.
That makes it seem like other coaches are like really gentle. My coach is not at all.
I would be, I don't know what kind of coach, if I ever was one.
I think I would be pretty tough.
I think I'd be very gentle. But
I would say things like Will has been saying to me. He's like,
yeah, get up, do your thing.
he's like, no, you're doing great. Just give up.
Yeah.
Just settle in.
Yeah. But I mean, they help guide kind of because there are, people down the road will kind of help us realize what stuff really matters.
Yeah. So this is an episode we're actually re-recording because I accidentally deleted the other one on one of the cameras.
Yeah.
That's why it's only on one camera this time. One of the reasons.
Smart.
Warren Buffett has this quote. He's addressing an audience, and he encourages everyone to write down 25 things they want to accomplish in life. Their biggest dreams and goals, write down all 25 of them. And he waits a while, lets everybody like write out all these goals. And it could be like big things like, I want my kids to think I'm a good dad.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. I want to retire at this age. I want to, climb this mountain.
Yeah.
Then he says, okay, everybody have a list of 25. And they're like, yeah, we got it. He says, cross out the bottom 20.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you only have enough time in life to accomplish about 5 big things. So now's your time to get hyper-focused on those 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
I love that activity.
Yeah.
Something I remind myself of often whenever we do go to an event or we hear, some other new like lead technique or something.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have time to do all these things.
No.
The reason that person is up there talking about that thing is because that's the only thing they've focused on for the past few years.
Yeah.
The reason I've had opportunities to speak about YouTube is because it's the only thing I've focused on for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
I have not tried to get leads any other way over the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why many people would view me as an expert in YouTube for real estate.
Yeah. And it takes that type of dedication to win.
Yeah.
I kind of feel, because otherwise everybody would do it.
Right.
It's not easy.
So I'm excited to do that activity with our agents too, just to provoke them to narrow it down.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't narrow down that list of what you want to accomplish, you spend a bunch of time doing the entry level of everything. You never go deep enough on the few things that really would change your life, that really would move the needle,
Mm-hmm.
that really would like make it to where you can get more time back with your family, more time to go on that vacation, more time and money to go on that vacation.
Yeah.
It takes going deep in a couple things to get that time back.
For sure. Takes working on yourself too.
And that's what we all want, right? It's time.
That really is it. Yeah. Time and, well, not money, but yes and no.
Well, money can buy time.
It does.
Time cannot buy money.
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. How do you stay motivated whenever you don't feel it? Or do you think about that at all?
Motivation, I think, faded like a year and a half ago
Okay.
because it's not as exciting to go on showings or do day to day. I think the main way I stay motivated is just ask myself if I'm this age now, want to have kids at this age.
Yeah.
I can't really wait too much longer because then you get old and then you miss out on your grandkids. So
You get old like me.
no, not like, yeah, well. But, I want time. That is probably, that is it, time. So, you got to work hard now to get there, and you can't rest.
Was there someone in your life that you saw work hard to get that? Where do you even come up with that concept?
I think it came from like a major life change, probably, when I pivoted completely from probably living overseas to now going to stay in the States and do a job that I never would have dreamed of, but still want the same kind of end outcome, being able to travel, freedom. Yeah. And then just feeling like, you got to go now because you don't have much time. So that's probably the main way that came about. But it's good. It's good to feel that way. It's good to want to achieve excellence every day. And a lot of it is working on yourself because, I could work
most of it is
12 hours, but is that really the best? Like, is that really going to help me reach my goal? Constantly working 12 hours? Because maybe what I need to do is set boundaries with some customers and healthy boundaries, not like boundaries like most people think, but like boundaries on this is my job area. We built these systems around to support this. This is what we're going to do. Now this is kind of outside of that. So we can't necessarily do that. And you can do that in a loving way, but that'll give you back time to focus on the next goal. And eventually you keep implementing those systems and being true to that to the point where you do have all the time back and it's still running well.
Some of it too is like if you work a 12-hour day, you're not accomplishing much at that point. You're running at a pace to where you're just not really effective.
Yeah.
Like maybe some little things are getting done, but the things that are taking you 2 hours probably would have taken 30 minutes first thing in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely get better at it as time goes on. Like
Working long days?
Yeah, I'd say working consecutive long days. You've tried to figure out how do you do this to where you can actually get stuff done earlier because people are doing it. Yeah. So then it's like, hey, like Mr. List Agent, like we can talk about this for 2 hours, or I can just tell you what we're feeling in 5 minutes, and that'll be it. I got to, I say I got to go. I got to work on the next thing, and that's fine. It's acceptable. It's normal. You start realizing stuff like that, which is probably a bit different for me because I'm a talker and time was not an issue for a long time.
Yeah. And in the beginning as an agent, you're like, no, like I just want to talk because I might learn things. There's all these kind of opportunities within a conversation with another agent or with a client or all those things.
Yeah. You can still prioritize people and do that too.
Yeah. And the reality is people reach out to us wanting us to do something for them, not to just be our friends.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is what it looks like for us to execute this process for you.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to do that.
Yeah.
This is what we charge for that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are conversations we have to start having.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
And you get better at it.
Mm-hmm.
Like one example would be instead of looking over a contract 5 times to make sure you didn't make any errors, like maybe just have it so that you have to fill in each blank. It's mandatory field. That way you don't miss it.
Yeah.
Easy fix to save you 10 minutes.
Sure.
There's a bunch of those. They add up, and you figure it out as you go on.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious what other things like that new agents struggle with. You don't have to be very efficient with your time in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. I think one area, and I think I like that guy pointed on this yesterday. We talked about it, but a lot of new agents struggle with losing the deal, and they freak out about it. So much so that they hyper-focus on that one deal to the point where, and it's because they're scared, they're insecure, that they don't go out and keep doing their daily tasks of prospecting, nurturing other leads. They're just so focused on this deal. Maybe it's a $600,000 house, the first one, big check. And it actually hurts them because then they're set back like 2-3 months.
Yeah, the water's turned off.
And that deal
the water's not coming into the whole
might
thing.
not even close.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that transition in myself when I would get a deal under contract. The first few, you're just like, how do I get this closed? After a few close and a few don't close, you realize it's not really up to me. I'll do my best, but there's a lot of factors. The next level is you get one under contract, and you're like, how do I get the next one under contract?
Yeah. That's where you want to be.
Yeah. Now we have 10 under contract, and we're thinking constantly, like, how do we keep it in double digits?
We actually do better at keeping them under contract now that we're not so worried about it.
Yeah.
Because we're very upfront.
Once you don't hold on as tight to that contract or that potential commission, that's really what you're hanging on to, and you're showing everyone that.
Mm-hmm.
Once you don't hold that so tight, then things go quite a bit smoother.
And yeah, that comes down to believing in yourself and the process, knowing that you can do it. And you can. Yeah. Definitely do it.
I'm excited to share a lot of this with our agents, run through this kind of big emotional goal and then unemotional work and process and actions.
Mm-hmm.
What else do you think we could add to that?
I think a lot of agents need to really be kind of more self-aware, which is a hard thing to do, and to really ask yourself what are the things that you need to work on yourself as a person to be better at, and what are the things that maybe you're just too focused on it. Like you hear so much about people practicing scripts, and like role playing, and that's them working. They're like, I'm doing my scripts. Mm-hmm. But that's all they do. All they do is role play with other agents. What they really need to be doing is just calling and trying it out, and because that's their real fear in them is they don't want to be uncomfortable. They don't want to say the wrong thing. They're scared of rejection. That's like a deep internal thing that actually takes a lot of digging to wrestle through.
Yeah,
but it'll make you a better person. So by doing those things. Not only do you save more time,
Mm-hmm.
work less, but
Yeah.
you achieve your goal a lot quicker and a lot better.
Yeah, and I would put that kind of in the same category as like setting up your CRM.
Yeah.
People are like, I'm setting it up. I want to get it really dialed in. Like, no, just use it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just like send out the message, send out the
Make a
emails.
mistake.
Maybe they bounce back. Maybe you misspelled something. Like,
Yeah.
learn through that a little bit more. But some of that is this process of making a mistake, reflecting on it, and then implementing a process so you don't make it again.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I think would be good to share with our agents because mistakes happen.
All the time.
So then how do you quickly forgive yourself, analyze what happened, reflect on it, and then implement a process so that next time this is less likely to happen?
Yeah. And the last thing I would probably say to an agent in that scenario
Mm-hmm.
is also very, very adamantly, is that a word? Okay, sorry. Very much, what's the word? An agent that's wanting to focus on these things, like it's going to be very important for them to also ask for feedback
Yeah.
and to check in to see what things maybe they feel like one thing is working, but actually they should be working on this totally different thing based on the feedback that they're provided with. I think that's big.
Yeah, I think often we look for feedback a few different ways, but the way I see agents is like, what did I do wrong? I want to correct what I did wrong. But you may have done something right. So then how do you take that thing and accentuate it?
Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody tells you, hey, we liked you because you're calm. I'm like, Aaron, be the calmest one in the room. They're telling you what they like about you. Make sure you accentuate that. Talking to Heather yesterday, I'm like, hey, Heather, you have these 6 listings right now. How do you think you got them?
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. Let's dig into it.
Yeah.
Because you got them somehow. Then how do we keep doing that work, keep doing those actions that you're doing that led to that?
That'll help you set the next goal.
Yeah. It'll help you identify the work that needs to be done.
Yeah, big time.
If the goal is to get business, you've got this business, and like, what can we learn from that? What kind of feedback can we get from that success?
Yeah, help you work on the right areas to improve and what to capitalize on.
You know, we look at our failures and try to learn.
Mm-hmm.
We want to just like correct what happened. But success leaves clues. People say that. Success
Yeah.
leaves clues. That's why we look at other successful people. And your own success leaves clues too.
Mm-hmm.
That went really well. What did I do that made it go well?
What would you say are like the key moments where you realized, for me personally, this is what I need to lean into as like Sam, not even like real estate and YouTube. It's like
Okay.
a Sam.
Just being likable.
Yeah.
I remember I'm a pretty confident, arrogant person, my wife would say. There was a moment when I worked for this other company where I kind of snapped back at this VP about something. He was telling me he needed me to do this thing. I'm like, we don't do that. He was really upset. It came up in a VP meeting about me. So my boss came to me
Yeah.
and he said, hey, this is what happened. Maybe this is how you could have handled it. I want to read this book with you. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. And it was like the way he engaged me with that of like, hey, this guy's super mad at you, but let's do this. It was super helpful.
Yeah.
It helped me realize that being likable is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
My time at that organization, not that I didn't already have opportunity, but suddenly over the next few years, opportunities were opened up to me endlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I wanted and asked for, like there was a way made for it. That was super pivotal.
Yeah.
Just realizing, okay, if I'm likable, it might be like a superpower. So then I just translate that to everything.
Yeah. How do you?
If I'm interacting with an agent, if I'm interacting with some kind of partner or vendor, or I'm making videos or whatever it is, I just want to be likable.
Yeah.
I'm not seeking some kind of approval for being likable. I just know that everything goes smoother if I am likable.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people need to hear that. Okay, so that was one thing. What about what was the next moment? Like throughout your journey where you were like, it's the next big clue that this is working in my life and I need to dial this in more?
Yeah, there's been a few of them. And it comes from people believing in me.
Mm-hmm.
Like people not being surprised that I succeeded.
Yeah.
Or people just saying like, of course you would. Like that was like, has been really impactful to me. Even now, that's impactful to me. Whenever people that I really like and respect and care about their opinion say, of course you're a success, or of course that works, or of course agents want to join your community over this one, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Even when it is comparative, I'm okay with that. But seeing when people are like, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, really? It does? Okay, good.
You're like, oh, that's good. Yeah, because you got to hear it from other people.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And I hear it from my dad the most, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm super thankful that I have a dad like that, that's super affirming and encouraging.
Yeah.
I think I told the story last time we recorded this of my dad. My dad's going to retire soon, and the company asked him to take over. My dad's going to retire soon, and the company that he works for asked if one of his kids would want to take over his insurance agency.
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's always a big problem. Like the kids are always trying to like live up to their parents. It creates all this drama. He's like, I wouldn't want you guys to do that. I was like, Dad, I mean, it's really nice of you, but there's no way I could do it. He's like, I know. And it's back in Oklahoma. And, if I did it, I would just do so much better than you. You would be depressed, and then you'd be retired and depressed. And I would feel so bad about that.
That's funny.
He just laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Even with him, we find ways to like be competitive with each other
It's a healthy
and celebrate each other's accomplishments.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah. No, it's a different type of competition.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So goals, making mistakes, reflecting, creating processes. I'm excited to connect with our agents next week about all this
Yeah.
and kind of help them map out their next couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Because this emotional goal can map out years for you.
It can be your whole life if you want it to be.
Yeah. Because my next big goal under this banner is 100 agents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That starts with one. That starts with Elena, who we met yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get her on board this week?
Yeah. How do we help her? How do we kind of reflect on what things she needs?
Right.
How is she different than us? That's another big thing.
Yeah. She's got massive experience with 55 plus communities.
Yeah. Yeah. How do we help her achieve that when it's totally different from maybe both of us or something?
And also her coming from a family brokerage that her mom ran, wanting a more professional experience. How do we make sure we provide that?
Yeah. And a lot of teams only want their people to do things the way that they know how to do them.
Yeah.
What I like about, I think what we're trying to do is how do we help equip them to do the stuff that they're good at?
Yeah.
Not what works for me, what works for you. It's like what works for you to give you the most success. I think that's bigger.
Yeah, I often think of this triangle, and it's what do you want to do? What do people expect from you? And the third one is what makes money.
Mm-hmm.
And within this triangle, you fall in it somewhere. At first, in real estate, you just go over here toward money.
Yeah.
And then kind of you end up back here, like what people expect from you and what makes money. Then you start to be a little successful, and you overcorrect, and you go all the way up to what I want to do. Then you realize, oh wow, that brand is going to take a little more time to build.
Yeah.
Like Christian wanting to grow his dreads out, that's going to
Yeah.
take a little more time to build. Let's fall somewhere here in the middle for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then go over here a little bit toward what makes money. Like learning how to pivot where
All
you
that.
are in this triangle again and again is super important.
Yeah, it takes a lot of guidance for sure.
But in the midst of that, while you're trying to find your way, you have to be building the brand that represents what you want to be.
And a lot of that is just pursuing, excellence and asking for feedback and trying to tweak things to make them better.
Yeah.
No one's expecting the luxury brand of like an agent who closes 100 million out of a new agent. They want maybe good service, honesty, someone they can trust.
Yeah, you don't have to be more than you are.
No, You don't have to go
be
buy
yourself.
a Mercedes. Yeah, yeah.
You can still provide incredible value. And that's something I'm super excited about this NAR change.
Mm-hmm.
Agents are going to be forced to provide more value and be able to communicate that value.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super valuable. Some of the leaders at our brokerage are sharing today about that. We can maybe talk about that on here next week. See kind of how that will affect us in our industry.
Yeah, agents have to get out of their box. They're used to having those conversations when they take on a listing, which is usually a little later, typically, for most how it's been. But now they have to figure that out off the bat.
The fact that it's going to be forced earlier on might just elevate the whole industry.
It will. People will quit faster.
It might whittle it down, but it might elevate it as well.
It will. Yeah.
And then how do we find those agents that, aren't equipped to have those conversations and equip them?
Yeah, because it's doable. It's not like it's
doable.
Not like it's an impossible task that only certain people can do.
Right.
No, you can do it, and it's probably better for you to figure out how to do it now than have all these bad habits that you then have to undo. Which is why we talk about how we're glad we didn't do well in 2021.
Yeah. Right. All right, that's it for today.